Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am so glad today to be joined by Brandi Purser. Brandi, you grew up here in Lawrence County, and all of a sudden, you're an author. How about that?
I know, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you teach second graders every day, run a family full time. What do you do in your spare time?
Well, I try to write in my spare time.
How much time does that take?
It takes a long time. I use my spare time. I'm kind of a night owl, so I tend to get my house quiet, and then that's when I can concentrate on my thoughts.
Let's talk about that beautiful family. You have a wonderful husband, Stephen.
Right.
Got two beautiful daughters. Got just about every animal possible, I think. Goats
Right.
and chickens, and even Doc McStuffin. I heard he's running around the house somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us about your kids.
Well, as you said, I have two beautiful girls. Bailey is 11, and JC is 3, and they keep me very busy, but they're very loving and sweet children.
I understand you describe one of your daughters as a miniature adult.
She is.
Tell me about that.
My 3-year-old. She drinks coffee, and she will carry on in conversations just like she's an adult, so she's lots of fun.
And you have not only written a book, but you have a trilogy of books.
I do.
You got to explain that to me.
Well, it's a series, just like kind of a television series is.
Mm-hmm.
So at first it was just going to be one book, and it kind of grew, the story grew, and I wanted to kind of keep some suspense in there, so I turned it into a trilogy of 3 books.
And we were looking at some of the books behind us here. I'm interested, who helped you with the artwork? Wonderful artwork on the cover, by the way.
Yes.
Who helped you with that?
Actually, I located a graphic artist out of California, and he's who helped me design the covers of my books.
If somebody's watching us out there today, inspiring writer, what would you say to help them out?
I would say just have fun and go with your creativity, and don't let anything stifle that.
Okay. And I know, especially in writing, you have the real side of Brandi, and then you
Right.
have the creative side. And
Exactly.
And reading, and we don't want to get too much into the books because we want people to buy them. We're going to tell you how to buy them a little bit
Right.
later. But tell me about the creative side of Brandi. Tell me where the thought process came from.
Well, I've always had extensive imagination, you might say. So I've always loved to read. So that kind of stemmed my desire and put a challenge in my mind to try to write and see if I could actually do it. So
What kind of time to write this trilogy? How many years has this been going on?
it took me about a year to write the entire thing. At first it started as a hobby, and then it kind of turned into more of a passion, and I devoted more time toward the end, of course, as I finished up and actually decided to publish.
We always hear about writer's block. Did that ever happen to you?
Yes, I think I did have writer's block. I already knew the storyline whenever I first started writing, so I knew where I was going. Sometimes getting there is a challenge, so I think that the getting there, occasionally I would just kind of put it down, walk away, and say, I need to think on that a little bit, and then I'd sleep on it, and the next morning something might hit me. So,
Well, I'll give you 100 on creativity. Since you're a teacher, I'll grade you on this. But
thank you.
absolutely wonderful. I've been reading some of it, and we're not going to tell you about the book on TV because we want you to buy the book. I mean, because it's a great read. Reading some of the comments online, people are just so proud of you. I hear words like awesome. Just unbelievable how people, took it in reading it. And I enjoyed it. I was actually reading it to my wife. It was a good read to her. She was really enjoying it, by the way. But
I'm glad to hear that.
But the creativity is unreal. What about, I was thinking, would you like to turn it into a movie?
I would love to turn it into a movie if that ever became a possibility. I don't have those kind of aspirations as of yet because it's, kind of a grueling industry, and you're in a sea of a lot of fish whenever you're a writer, especially an independent, writer. So it's just kind of one of those things that I take it day by day, and who knows what'll come next.
And being the person you are, you're a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You generally love people,
Right.
Loving family. And I we were talking off camera before we started. I asked her, was it okay to call you a country girl? And that's a compliment, because a good country person that loves people in general. And I say that to ask you this. reviews. How does that affect you, the good and the bad now? How does it make you feel about the review part?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm my own worst critic, and I was a little skeptical at first about even releasing it locally because I didn't know how it would be perceived. And 99% of my life is devoted to my children and my husband and my students and the community, and so that other very small percent that makes up the author in me and the creativity that I show, I didn't know how people would perceive it locally, but I kind of took the chance and decided to step out there. I've gotten lots of great feedback, but I would say to any critics out there that I respect, of course, their opinion. My genre is not for everybody, just like I don't particularly care for science fiction, so it's just one of those things that it's either your thing or it's not. But I would want them to understand that that is not necessarily a reflection of my life and how I live it, but just the creativeness. It is fiction, and that's how it's supposed to be perceived.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Do you read a lot?
I read a lot. I've gotten a little bit lax on my reading here recently because now I'm a lot pickier with what I read. I don't just... Used to, I'd pick up any book and, I could get into it, but now I'm a little bit pickier in what I decide to read.
And what originally, what made you actually just, you probably thought about you wanted to write a book, but what made you actually sit down and start writing those first few words?
I love a challenge, and I just decided one day that I wanted to see if I could do it. And so I tried it and did it. I don't know what exactly clicked to make me just sit down and start, but I think more or less I just need something as an outlet that I invest that side of my brain in, and that's what I chose to try.
Does it come natural, and did you always, like when you was in high school, college, have you always enjoyed writing?
Actually, no, because normally in those kind of situations, you're given topics to write on. And, as a writer, I get to choose what topics I write on. So I was not the best student in school. Actually, I think that makes me a better teacher because I can kind of relate to the kids that don't necessarily enjoy school. And,
Let's talk about the books. We said they were behind us here. Let's tell us the titles of each one and the order that we ought to read them in.
All right. It's the Fulfilling series. The first one is Fulfilling Torment, and then Fulfilling Rage, and the last one is Fulfilling Hope.
And some of the characters. Let's talk about maybe a couple of the characters.
Okay. The main characters would be Cam and Aiden, and you kind of delve into a few other characters, but they're the main focus throughout the book, and you kind of get invested in their lives, hopefully.
What about Braxton?
All right, Braxton's actually a character in another series that I've started writing, and that's another trilogy that I plan on publishing, and that's a little different series. It's going to actually be kind of like a love triangle, and we're going to see how that plays out, but he's kind of a bad boy character, so.
Must be why I asked, but how far down the road is that?
I hope that it will be in the near future. I have actually a chapter of it already published on my website. I think that you saw that chapter. And it kind of gives the readers a little bit of a tease as to what's coming, but the way I write is a little different than probably most writers, so I can't give you an exact timeline because I'm not sure. I kind of write it a little differently.
Okay, people watching us want to read the books. Where all can you get them at?
Okay. Right now they're available at Amazon.com. They're electronic ebooks, and they're also in the form of paperback. And on February the 7th, I'm excited because we're going to actually do a book signing, and I'm going to have all the paperback books available and be at Blush Boutique. And I'm going to have them there for purchase and be signing them and get to meet and greet everybody.
Okay, and that's where we are now. We really appreciate them for letting us be here. Just
Absolutely.
A beautiful store. It's right here, I guess, best place to tell you, right next to Brian's Subs here in the shopping center. And just a beautiful store, locally owned, locally operated. And we really appreciate them letting us come in here today. And should be a wonderful book signing. I know you're excited about that.
I'm very excited about it.
Where do you get your ideas?
Actually, I don't really know how I get my ideas. It's kind of like I have a very vivid imagination, and I think that, sometimes you just are riding along and, have things that pop in your mind. Of course, I love to read, so I'm sure that some of those ideas are stem from, well, how would I have done this a little differently? And, it kind of builds on top of that. But I like to try to keep the readers engaged and trying to guess what comes next, but then when they guess, I hope that they're wrong and that I shock them and surprise them, and that's my challenge. So.
It's got to be great enjoyment, I would think, to actually develop the characters and then see them on paper.
You kind of become invested in their lives. They almost turn into real people for you. So I cried during writing a part of that book because I felt so strongly toward this one particular character and what she was going through. I won't say anything else about that, but it was intense for me, and I was writing, but yet I still felt so connected that I boo-hooed over it. So.
Mm-hmm. So you really get emotionally attached.
I do.
And we were talking about Stephen, your husband, earlier.
Right.
What does he think about it?
He's very supportive. He's always been very supportive. We've been married almost 17 years, and so he's kind of seen me grow and blossom. We kind of grew up together, so he's watched me go through college and, raising our daughters together. I couldn't ask for a more supportive person in my life.
Okay, we're going to take a break right quick and come back, and we really want to talk to you a little more about the book signing coming up, just in time for Valentine's, by the way. I know you had to pick that out there. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you confused about all of this? We call it health insurance, and we tailor your health insurance to fit you. Do you really want health insurance that fits someone else? Our health insurance plans can cost less than this bottle of water. Again, do you really want someone else's health insurance plan? We've helped thousands find the right plan, and we'll help you too. We also help you keep your doctor. Call now, ** enroll me from any smartphone, or just call my office, 756-6686.
Welcome back, everybody. Brandi Purser, if you're just joining us, a local author, a local girl, born and raised here, wasn't you?
Absolutely.
And I'm proud to say, an East Side girl.
I'm proud to say that too.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about writing. How much research do you actually do to do a trilogy like this?
Actually, I had to do a lot of research. I tried to make my storyline pretty deep so that just didn't skim the surface. You actually become invested and you learn things, and I wanted it to be realistic, and it's realistic fiction, so I tried to look into medical terminologies for things, try not to give too much away out there, but a lot of different scenarios that I actually did research into to make sure that my terminology was correct and that things could really happen, the way that I perceived them.
And it's easy reading. The thing is, how many pages are in most of the books?
Actually, it's different with the e-books and with my paperback books, but I want to say that there's at least 200 or 250 or so in the first book. I think actually 260 something. In the
So it wouldn't take long to read it, and it's easy to read. And I'm going to have to tell you, once you get started, you're going to have to read because the characters take you through it, and you're going to read more. So are you going to, and we talked a minute ago about the next books you got coming out, are you going to stick with this kind of writing?
I love writing this genre, and I think that I always probably write this genre. However, I do want to branch out. I am actually also working on a nonfiction book right now, and it deals with children with ADHD because I have a professional and a personal connection to that, and I've dealt with it so much and learned so much and have just a lot of trials and tribulations that I'd like to share, and hopefully maybe it'll help somebody else, a parent or an educator that may, deal with children that have ADHD. So.
And a question I'm sure viewers, you're asking yourself right now, what do you do in your spare time? All this stuff you do. I mean, family, juggling that, teaching school, writing books.
Right.
Do you have spare time?
Well, what little bit of spare time I have, I do try to write as much as I can, but I enjoy spending time with, my girls and my husband, and we try to, get that family time in. That's most important. So, and spending time with my parents. They live here in Lawrence County too, and, it's just try to be that hometown girl more than anything, but I do try to write in my spare time.
And people watching us right now, how do they find out more about Brandi Purser?
Okay, I have a website. It's www.blpurser.com, and I'm on Facebook also as BL Purser and on Twitter as well.
Okay, and anything before we go that we hadn't talked about you might want to bring out?
No, I just appreciate the community support that I've gotten so far, and I look forward to meeting more people in the community and seeing how, if they read the books, their perception of it. I always like, feedback, good or bad. I'd love to meet and greet anybody on February the 7th at the book signing.
And what time?
It is from 10 until 3 at Blush Boutique.
Okay, and have plenty of copies on hand?
Absolutely.
And your own autographed copy?
Sure.
Well, doing a trilogy, you're going to have to sign a lot of copies.
Right. Yes. So I better practice.
You better start practicing. Of course, a school teacher, you got to have good penmanship, right?
Well, not necessarily. Maybe I should have been a doctor. I don't know. But I'm going to try to have good penmanship. Actually, the first set that I sign, I'll be giving away that day. So
Good.
There's a little contest going on right now on Facebook, on my Facebook page, that if you share and like and comment on it, you can get entered in a chance to win. And it will be actually the first books that I ever sign. So I'm going to give those away.
Well, we hope everybody will do that.
Right.
Well, we wish you the best. It's great
Thank
anytime to sit down with a local person who, and I interview a lot of local people that write books, but we just wish you the best in the world. I hope you sell a lot of them, and we hope to talk again. And when you make that movie, maybe I can get to interview a big movie star, huh?
Absolutely. I would love nothing more.
Okay, and I understand before we went on camera, you already got people wanting to cast for the roles, right?
I do. I actually have one of my very best friends wants to be in the movie. She made me promise that if it was turned into a movie that she would get a role. So.
Okay, and we'll leave that name anonymous, okay?
I will not breathe a word of who that is.
Thank you, Brandi.
Thank you.
And we encourage you to come out to this book signing. All the information you're looking at right there on the screen as we talk. Please come out to Blush. And once again, we want to thank Blush for letting us come out today and do this interview. Thank you very much for joining us.